Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's doing good. Back here on Saturday again for another STX LDN. Catch up on stacks. Talk about ordinals. Just invite a couple more
Bro, I
people
can
in.
hear, I can hear, I
Echo.
can hear an echo.
All right,
Yeah,
hold on.
echo,
Hold on.
echo.
Should be gone now. All good?
Yeah, it sounds good now. I don't hear an echo.
Okay, great. Nice one. Thanks everybody for coming out and joining into the space. Please remember to retweet, like, share the spaces out. We definitely appreciate the listens and we appreciate everybody coming in as well and joining in. We know if you just want anything to say or if you've got anything to say to talk about, always just raise your hand or just request, to get the mic and we will put, we're not going to discriminate against anybody or stop anybody from coming up, no matter how large the space gets. Everybody's opinion is welcome. I think we'll kick off the space mainly by talking a little bit about the title tonight. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk going on around ordinals in the space at the moment, and obviously, if you're within the Stacks ecosystem, then you know that Xverse and Hero Wallet have both started to incorporate ordinals. Also, Gamma has incorporated ordinals onto the marketplace. However, Xverse are this wallet on Stacks to actually support ordinals. I know Ord Wallet also have a Hero Gamer down there earlier on put me onto Ord Wallet, have in the last 4 hours I believe released a transfer feature as well for Ord Wallet. Although that's outside of Stacks, we're all Bitcoin here, so Bitcoin innovation is what we like to talk about, and the progression of Bitcoin is what we like to talk about. I'm not sure if any one of you guys heard or joined into the Trustmans space also. That was a very big space that happened this week talking about ordinals. And if you're not familiar with Trust Machines, then I will pin a tweet from Trust Machines up in the top. But Trust Machines are concerned with creating more innovative solutions for Bitcoin ecosystem all the way around, be that Bitcoin Core, Stacks, RSK, Liquid, or any type of work with Bitcoin. So it's definitely would be cool for you to check out Trust Machines. A lot of Bitcoin OGs working with them at the moment to bring some of these things to fruition. So, has anybody? Firstly, I think I'll ask: has anybody actually used the Xverse app? I suppose probably most of the stackers in here have, but is there anybody that's in here either not a regular or is coming in for the first time? Maybe a Bitcoin Maxi. Have you tried to use it? A Crossfire? I see you come up on the stage as well. Nice for letting them up, Doc. And John, have you guys used the actual Xverse app yet to mint any ordinals or to inscribe? Sorry, any ordinals?
Yeah, I tried it a little bit the other day and actually minted some ordinals to it. Worked pretty well. So it's a nice experience. Looking forward to when they get send functionality too. But I know that's right around the corner. So yeah, it's a nice experience.
Any crazy collections that you've got your eyes on at the moment, or
No, nothing in particular. I've just kind of been obviously playing around with the honey badgers, like my profile pick, and then did the Bitcoin wizards that Udi has been big about. So just did some of those today. Those were pretty cool. But yeah, no, I'm just excited about all this. Kind of just playing around, finding things that I think look cool, and trying to snatch them up when I can.
that being said, has anybody joined? Have you joined the Crossfire? Have you joined any NeoSwap parties as yet? Because I know NeoSwap are doing a lot with ordinals as well.
No, I haven't. NeoSwap's always one of those things that looks real cool, but I haven't actually jumped in and been part of one of the parties yet. So it's on the to-do list.
Oh man, you're gonna have to do that. I actually have an auction going on that you can go list some stuff anyway. But I kind of like their old format a little bit better because it felt more party-like. Now it seems like they kind of jumped over to like auctions, but you can still list and trade all the same.
So I know they had one for ordinals recently. Did you participate in that, or kind of how that worked?
I honestly missed that one, unfortunately. I've it's just been crazy busy on my end, So I know they reached out to me not too long ago to kind of host my own auction on there. I've been a supporter of them since they were first doing like their test runs. It's been amazing watching them grow, but no, I missed that one.
I did join in for the Satoshables one, but the floor went up so quickly, unbelievable. Like somebody bid like 2K stacks on all of the Satoshables like after about 10 minutes. So yeah, it was crazy. That was a crazy one. The thing is, there are lots of other things going on. Let's say in NeoSwap in terms of parties with ordinals. And if you haven't joined the NeoSwap party, if anyone in the room hasn't joined the NeoSwap party, so NeoSwap is a AI trading platform that allows people to cross trade NFTs and do blind auctions. So very very cool. Now working on Solana, also working on ETH. I believe they'll be doing some ordinal testing cross chain with ETH and ordinals as well next week. But they are primarily a stats based platform, and they do believe in the power of Bitcoin. So yeah, they have definitely done quite a lot in the last week. There's been so much stuff just going on with ordinals, I'd say, in the last 2 weeks. I mean, we did a space 2 weeks ago on this, if you were here, speaking about the what was going on with ordinals at the time. And in between that 2 weeks, there's been a multitude of marketplaces, apps, and also wallets that have come onto the scene, shall we say. I think I'll find the tweet. I think Leonidas posted a tweet which actually listed the amount of different application stuff that had come on the scene for ordinals, and it seems as though Stacks builders are definitely leading the way in terms of building out infrastructure for ordinals at the moment. We have obviously both Gamma and Satoshables coming in very, very quickly and very, very hot with the ability to be able to easily inscribe ordinals and then Xverse following straight along. I know that the Hero wallet is taking a little bit longer, but I know Hero are planning to implement a bunch of features all at once. So there will be a lot of other features, such as what I'm hearing. I think what I'm really excited about is the ability to be able to send Bitcoin between BNS names, and that will be native Bitcoin. So there'll be no wrap or SBTC that they'll be doing for that apparently. So that is definitely bullish, 100%. And also, I joined into, if you haven't joined into Hero Gamer, if you're not following Hero Gamer, make sure you follow Hero Gamer, because Hero Gamer, he runs the Stacks SIP community. And there's definitely lots and lots and lots of SBTC and Ordinals Alpha happening within those SIP calls right about now. So they're definitely hot right about now. I don't know if he's available or not, if he's got time. Hero, you want to jump up and say a word or two about the SIP calls and maybe give a people pressure of the Alpha that we've heard in the past week from both Trust Machines and places like DLC Link, and also the SBTC team. I know Andre over at the SBTC team is working diligently to ensure Stacks does fulfill the two-way peg promise. So yeah, definitely a lot going on right about now. John, have you used Ordinals yet? Or I know you've been using NeoSwap, or I know you've tried NeoSwap a few times. Have you joined any of the Ordinals auctions yet?
I think he's back as a listener.
On my side, it looks like speaker. I think maybe he might be getting a little bit rugged.
I'm getting rugged, you're getting rugged, we're all getting.
Yeah, that was funny a couple of weeks ago when we got rugged like 4 times in a row. That was crazy. But yeah, as I said, so 2 weeks ago when we did the Stacks London space on Ordinals, there wasn't all of this building, and it was quite funny because Trevor Owens, respect to him, joined into the Stacks space to give some quite detailed commentary on what was going on. And I know since then he's just gone absolutely all out, just creating spaces nearly every day for Ordinals, and it's just gone absolutely mad. I mean, I like to hear all of the kind of like the ETH. I don't want to say ETH maxis, but a lot of the guys who have been on Ethereum for a long time coming back to Bitcoin and doing more experimentation with Bitcoin and feeling more like they can actually build in the Bitcoin ecosystem right about now. And I think that is definitely a good thing. So yeah, definitely excited about that 100%.
Yeah, it's been kind of funny. Yeah, I've heard people say multiple times, like, man, like, where did all these Bitcoin devs come from? Because it was, one of those things where things had been kind of quiet for a while, outside of Stacks and, some of the side chains that have been trying to build on Bitcoin. But like Bitcoin itself, there hadn't been such a furor about like building out new wallets or new web experiences around Bitcoin. But then all of a sudden Ordinals drop, and now it's like almost almost like every couple days there's like some new wallet, some new web integration, something else to make the Ordinals experience better. And it's like, man, it is like all these devs kind of waking up from their slumber to really sprint and get these things done.
Yeah, I mean, it's very exciting, definitely very exciting. I think I'm not sure. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not sure because I think it must have had some effect on the market. But I mean, at the same time, the market is obviously seeming like it's going in a nice direction. At the same time, starting to trend upwards a lot more and a lot more and more recently. So yeah, I think it's all coming at a good time for Bitcoin, and it's a good thing for the whole entire ecosystem to kind of like have a bit of reflection on what is going on inside the entire space. So yeah, it's been exciting, been exciting. I don't think there's been a day that somebody hasn't created a space on Ordinals, as I said. So yeah. So for those of you who are new again to the space or haven't heard of Xverse maybe or used Xverse yet, then Xverse is a currency, a non-custodial multi-currency Bitcoin wallet, and they are aiming to be the best or most multifunctional Bitcoin wallet and easy to use Bitcoin wallet that there is. So with that, if you look into the nest, there is a tweet about BTC ordinals and those being inscribed through the Xverse app. Very easy process, literally like 1, 2, 3, like a 3, 4 step process to run through for users. People finding out about ordinals for the first time are seeming to drift straight into Xverse right about now. There's a lot of more, I would say, Bitcoiners who are not really liking that are using more ordinal wallet or old wallet, sorry. But I think that this kind of trend as well with people spinning up nodes is definitely another good point as well. I mean, I'm not sure if anybody in here has a Bitcoin node or if they've spun up a Bitcoin node before. Across Fire, have you spinning up your node or?
Yes, I've been kind of a long time node runner, so I got that spun up and got lightning set up with it too, and also a kind of stacks node sitting right next to it. So I'm big on that stuff. Haven't used it to mint that yet though. So that piece, getting Ord and Ord Explorer, that part I haven't really kind of walked through, especially since after I started down that path, like it was literally that same day that like Gamma came out with their inscription service and there was ordinal spots. So like all of a sudden there were these automated things where you didn't really have to do inscriptions by hand anymore. So there wasn't really that much of a need anymore. They made it too easy.
Yeah, I mean myself, I have a node on an older PC, well, older Mac that I was running a node on, and I went to go and update it, and I needed to update like Mac OS and everything. It was just like, oh, this is going to take too long, and then literally Satoshibles and Gamma came out with the services, and I've used both services, so I haven't. I've used Sparrow as well, but I haven't done it from like a node and spun up Ord like you said. So I haven't done any of that yet. I haven't had my node running for probably about 2 years. So yeah, I do need to get that up and running. I'm definitely interested in the what is coming for Stacks 2.1 as well. So spin up a Stacks node. I'm definitely excited to do that, 100%.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to see kind of like, I'm sure somebody's gathered some metrics, but like the quantity of people setting up nodes for the first time in the last couple of weeks, like it's got to look like a straight up hockey stick, the number of nodes on the network right
I've been
now,
trying to
which is kind of
find I've
cool.
been trying to find exactly that number, right? But like you look at, I'm not sure how some of these sites like record it. They must like have to require like a certain amount of uptime until like they count it, like in some of these numbers. Because I haven't seen like a substantial bump. But I mean, you're exactly right. The rumblings, like everyone is spinning up full nodes right now. I would love to see that uptick as well.
Yep, 100%. It's really cool. It's just such a great sign for the health of the network. Pretty much everything that's been going on. The fees for miners going up, nodes going up, people building new wallets, more things being bought with Lightning. I mean, it's just wins all over the place. So it's great to see.
Fortune, I see you just jumped up onto the stage as well. 21 unique and inspiring fortune cookies inscribed on the Bitcoin blockchain. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thanks for the invite. This is just an experiment, creatives, I think can relate. We get ideas, and one sparks and starts growing and taking on new ideas and its own life form. But it's just a initiative to spread good vibes. There's a lot of art, and uh, I think it's becoming harder and harder to stand out with even the AI stuff, especially these days, and a lot of the collections that just look very similar. So, from my background as a writer, I just had the idea to put some catchy slogans that hopefully resonate with some people, and see what it turns into. So, just a fresh collection that just hit the chain yesterday. And yeah, got some cool ideas and stuff for turn into. Check it out.
And how did you spin it up? Did you spin up a full node? Are you a node runner? Did you use Sparrow, sorry,
No,
or
I used
Xverse or
Ordinals bot. Ordinals bot with the compression tool was the big selling point. And mainly the thing was to be able to drag and drop full collections of the 21 files. I looked at Gamma and I looked at a couple others, and they were all sort of like a one by one or one at a time. And so I wanted to increase the likelihood that all 21 would be as close in numbers, in sequential order. And using the Ordinals bot, it didn't end up exactly, that way. There were definitely, a few that got skipped or whatever in between, but it was pretty close. And I think that was probably the easiest way to get that done. So props to that, whole team at Ordinals bot and everybody else who's innovating and just keeping each other, the friendly co-opetition. I love to see it. I think there's more energy in Bitcoin in the last 2 weeks than probably the last 2 years. So it's fun to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Ordinals bot got definitely, again, shout out Satoshi Balls for spinning that up very, very quickly. I've seen people do the batches, as you said, the collections. I do want to try do a set that's just all together. It would be good to do that. However, I think the fees, somebody said the fees are slightly higher, but I think people paying the fees for getting them all in one is probably, going to be be a no-brainer. But at the same time, also, I was thinking about probably if you're putting them there and you're timing the block, then it's more likely that you're able to get them all into a range, especially if you've got a very low number collection as well. Let's say like maybe 1 to 50 or 1 to 100 maybe. It's probably much easier to try and time the blocks and then get them in like early in a block with like a high fee. So that might be a good method to use to see if you can get them running running order. Sorry. Crypto Smith, what's going on, man? What's going on? Haven't seen you for a minute.
By the way, if you guys haven't checked out the swap or the Ord Swap marketplace, that's a pretty cool collection that they've got where the Fortunes collection will be available soon. I already submitted it like last night, so got a confirmation from their team that they're working through all the collections that have been submitted. But there's like 10 up there so far, and I don't know if all of them are even listed for sale, but swap.io, I think it is. Pretty cool.
Yeah, make sure you pin that to the top while you're up here on the speakers, bro. Pin that straight
Cool.
to the top.
Yeah, we'll do.
Cool. Crypto Smith Rhythms. Crypto Smith was first, I think. Might be having a trouble there, Crypto Smith. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I think he
Kind of
got
faded
rugged.
out, yeah. Faded out. It came in and then faded out.
Oh,
Rhythms.
I didn't hear him
What's
at all.
going on, Rhythms? Building the rhythms and building the platform for the rhythms. What's going on, sir?
Yeah, I saw the MP4s are making it onto Ordinals now. That's pretty exciting too. Should be interesting to see what people do with video files.
Yeah, I've seen this thing about people putting HTML files into like, so just basically inscribing HTML files that are linking to WebP assets that actually show in the browser. So that's something I'm definitely interested in, because that's it. Like, people are starting to put stuff like media, different bits of media, and just very interesting to see how people are getting around the workaround of the block space to be able to fit more high quality or more high memory items in there. So
Yeah, one of the coolest things is also that's on the collections in the OrtSwap site is there's a collection that says that they change depending on the time of day using self-contained SVG inscriptions. So kind of like how, you can have a desktop background or whatever that, sort of changes to a night picture, sort of different colors or whatever, purple in the evening. That's really cool. Like when I saw that, I was like, what the hell is going on, man? This is going to be pretty fun to see what people do.
yeah, definitely, man. Shout out to Ragnar down there as well. I know you definitely, if you got a second up as well, because I know you're definitely got a lot of ideas to do with Ordinals, and shouts out to you for what you're doing as well. Crazy Bitcoin OG down there, Ragnar. Been on Bitcoin with Trajan, which I'll post in the top just now. Crypto Smith, you back? Rhythms, you back?
Can you hear me now?
You got lots of static, bro.
That's my network.
Could just about hear you. It's like loads of static everywhere.
On the topic of people putting up videos, I did see that Gamma added support for animated GIFs, and they do some sort of compression to make them more, space efficient than they normally would be. So if, obviously you're not going to have audio there, but if you're looking to just have some short little GIF kind of image that you can put up there, that's a nice option for folks now.
Yeah, I was thinking about inscribing some gifs on there. I was thinking about inscribing some gifs. I think
Which one was that you were saying?
Sorry.
That was Gamma.io.
Okay,
It's
cool.
just enabled that. Yep.
Nice, because when I went to inscribe before with the gifts, I was just about to say that I tried to do a gift before on Gamma, and it wasn't enabled for gifts before. So if it is now, that's wonderful.
Yeah, just the speed of iteration to see all these companies that, trying to compete with each other to be the first for all these features is the most exciting stuff. I mean, like I haven't seen this type of enthusiasm and capitalist spirit, even if you want to call it that, in Bitcoin in probably years, man. It's really cool.
Can you hear me better now? Can anybody hear me?
You're very staticky, bro. Either you're next to something that has got like giving you loads of feedback and static, or you're using like headphones that maybe you've got short or something. It sounds like. You back? Now. You might need to drop out and then come back up, bro. You might need to drop down and then come back up, because it might be that. All right, cool. Let's bring you back up. Oh, he's going to jump back in. Okay, cool. While we're waiting for him to move on. Yeah, I mean, I've just posted up in the top as well Ragnar's tweet about him speaking to Casey about what he's doing with Trajan. I really love to hear that story the other day that you spoke on, Ragnar, about speaking to Casey some while ago about using ordinals for what you're doing with Trajan, and you finding other ways to do new things, but then ordinals obviously kind of like really kind of pumping in there, right? And being able to use that also. So yeah, let's get you up here.
I'm really curious just to see kind of what new use cases people think of.
Yeah, Ragnar, I think you're loaded in now. Maybe.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, thanks for doing this Twitter space, inviting me up here. Yeah, in terms of Casey, I've known him for a while. Been following each other for a few years, and yeah, I actually pitched Trajan to Casey, over a year ago, and we talked at the time. He said he was working on another project, which I guess it was Ordinals at the time. And then December last year, he messaged me and said he'd gotten farther along, and sent me a link to the docs and stuff. And I've been following it, of course, but just there's it's complicated. Ordinals are weird, right? And plus, I'm busy. But yeah, so now I'm exploring how to use Ordinals, and asked kind of Casey on GitHub, opened up an issue like how could you do non-transferable ordinals, and then how could you do an identity similar to BNS, and he gave his answers, and I've asked a few other people. So it's kind of exciting because there's still room to innovate and experiment and try weird things and figure out what works best. So I think we're still really early, but I think kind of my question that I'm thinking about lately is, where does Stacks come in? To what extent do we need Stacks? When do we need it? When do we not? When does it make sense? When does it not? Should we do everything on Ordinal? Should we do certain things? And I've kind of asked a few people around, and people have different answers to that. Some of it is technical arguments, but it seems like a lot of it is optics and call it political arguments. So it's interesting. I don't know if any of you guys have if you guys, I just joined like 5 minutes ago, but I don't know if you guys have already talked about that. Like, where does Ordinals end and Stacks begin?
Yeah, I don't think, well, we haven't talked about it just yet, so it's cool that you brought that up. And I think that this is a thing that maybe where kind of like a lot of the lines kind of get blurred right now, because obviously so much building is going on from, let's say, Stacks builders to support Ordinals. But then at the same time, people really want to know what differences are. New people, anyway, that are coming into the Stacks ecosystem want to really know what the differences are between the Ordinals and the NFTs that you find on Stacks, which again are Bitcoin NFTs, just not exactly the same. So I think that that there needs to be quite a bit of education around that. Personally, this is what I think. I think that there needs to be a bit of education around that. What is the difference between, like, let's say, Ordinals and other Bitcoin NFTs? I think Trust Machines, with the space that they did the other night and what they seem to be doing as they've activated very much recently on Twitter, I think Trust Machines is going to be very instrumental in breaking down the differences between the different Bitcoin side chains, what's going on in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and what is what, basically. I think the kind of stigma around Stacks is, I've always thought is really weird, and I think everybody kind of in Stacks, we understand some of the stigma, but still at the same time, we all understand that it is building or experimentation on trying to mess around with main chain politics, because nobody really wants to mess around with the main chain. So, I mean, for me, where I see kind of like Stacks fitting right about now is Ordinals has its own niche, and there's a certain, obviously, amount of things that we can do with Ordinals at the moment. Stacks obviously has the breadth of you being able to use smart contracts and trigger transactions, and obviously soon it will be triggering transactions on BTC with BTC. So I think that Stacks has a lot of key advantages in terms of being able to, let's say, build out more layer 2 focused processes, as well as being very close to the main chain. But yeah, there's definitely a major difference, obviously, technically between the two. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see whatever gets built either way. If it's all for the good of Bitcoin and humanity, man, I'm in. So yeah, that's my answer. Anyone else, Doc? Across?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like a lot of it's going to come down to, whether or not people are comfortable using another chain, and if not, there's going to be good tools that are going to be available on the base chain with, maybe some marketplaces using pre-signed Bitcoin transactions and things like that. But for those that are comfortable with using Stacks, you're just going to get so many cool features. Like, I can imagine, in the future, like depositing your ordinal into DLC, and that can act as kind of like a smart escrow, where you get like a Stacks representation of that. So if you wanted to take it to NeoSwap or something like that, it could be more trustless, and you could use a more advanced trading system to be able to move those around. And then when it's all said and done, the DLC just kind of releases it, and goes to that person's on-chain Bitcoin wallet, or maybe they leave it wrapped and they kind of have it migrated over to the Stacks ecosystem to live, but they still have the permanence of the ordinal on chain. So I'm just excited that there's like just lots of options now, and people can kind of choose, what they're comfortable with. But there's kind of benefits to all of these strategies. I'm just glad there's that optionality.
Doc, Nick, thoughts?
Honestly, I just am looking at ordinals as a way to bring up almost like the number of users and transactions on Bitcoin as a positive thing.
Yeah, for Stacks, I wonder, people who have some political philosophical opposition to Stacks, if it's just going to take time for ordinals to play out and see what happens as more people don't want to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes. Obviously, Stacks settles on the blockchain, but maybe with subnets or something else, might get faster. But if nothing else, the fees, people are cheap. If you're not used to like congestion on the main chain, if you're used to other blockchains, then hey, like $3 seems like a lot of money, much less like $15, $20. And if it gets really bad, I remember like years ago, we were seeing, no joke, $50. So maybe it'll just take time for ordinals to roll out and people wanting it to be cheaper, maybe faster, and then they'll be forced to. I guess one good thing about ordinals is that for Bitcoin people, at least, it's more open-minded of the Bitcoiners rather than the maximalists. So I think that will actually open up Stacks to more people that, excuse me, that Stacks wasn't open to from the Bitcoin world because they were too closed-minded, and open up people from like the Ethereum world because they didn't even know what Stacks was and didn't care that much about Bitcoin. So in a way, I could see it going both ways. On one hand, Ordinals could be good for Stacks because it brings new people. On the other hand, people might want to just focus on main chain Bitcoin one only. And I think objectively the best approach is using both, but politically probably, and for practically really, it might have to focus more on ordinals and then kind of sneak in some Stacks functionality to get there. That's what I'm seeing, like from just a couple investors that I talked to about it. So yeah, and then it's also, we'll see how the improvements to Stacks could help, whether that's subnets or whether that's SBTC. I'm a little skeptical, but we'll just see. I think this is such a great time to just get involved and contribute where you can and find your little niche in your group. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited about everything.
Oh yeah, man. So you mentioned maxis, and do you think like toxic maximalism in Bitcoin? See, I'm a Bitcoin first kind of guy, but I'm not gonna attack someone for not using Bitcoin. Um, do you think toxic maximalism may have hindered the amount of like scared people actually away from using Bitcoin?
Yeah, the maximalists definitely have scared away a lot of people from using Bitcoin, and something that's great about Ordinals is bringing people back. And so it's kind of like too bad for them, the maxis, because these people are coming in, they're bringing their money, they're bringing their engineering talent, they're bringing VC money. And so they're just simply going to create more usage, more applications such that the maxi voices get drowned out and people just don't care anymore. So now it's like the reason why people were okay with Ethereum and I think other chains was because those chains had the functionalities that they wanted, and for better or worse, more welcoming culture. We're social creatures, and so I think what's great about Ordinals is that it's going to bring in new people and hopefully just make maxis irrelevant. I mean, this last year kind of, I think 2022 completely made maximalism proven that it was definitely, how do I want to say this charitably, not living up to the expectations. I mean, all their narratives died in 2022 as far as I'm concerned. Like, it was proven Bitcoin wasn't a hedge against inflation. The stock to flow model was a scam. It wasn't savings technology. It wasn't number go up technology, no matter how you drew the charts out. So many of their narratives just continually failed. So it was fine. And so now with Ordinals, between the maxis failing and now these new people, I think it's awesome. But in terms of going back to like Casey and maximalism, Casey obviously doesn't like stacks. I don't know if you guys have seen some of his comments, but he thinks stacks is a scam, BTC is an affinity scam, and I push back on him, and others have. So it's unfortunate that Casey says those things, and just some of his personal background. I think I understand why, but I think what people have to remember is, like, who cares? I respect Casey, but it's open source software, and we can do whatever we want with it. And ultimately, like, it's too bad Casey says that, but what's going to win is like what we build. And Xverse and Gamma and Ordinals Bot and others are the perfect example. They're stacks kind of companies and people, but they've got such great tools that people are using it. Like, so too bad. Ultimately, what matters is what we build and use. So people shouldn't be like too disappointed with Casey or anyone else's comments.
And I think also, yeah, just to kind of follow that up as well. I think as well, like it's because it's become harder to split hairs on this, right? But I think that being a maxi, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a maxi. I think it's just toxic maximalism. Because in the same way that I believe that we use the word maxi, right? I believe that if you're putting Bitcoin first, then you are in essence a Bitcoin maxi. But it's just a difference between being toxic and being a rational person. And that's what I feel. Like sometimes I hear people saying I'm this maxi, I'm a that maxi, and I've said a lot of times I don't feel that there is really a need to be anything else maxi. If you're going to be a maxi, be a Bitcoin maxi, and everything else, yeah, great. We can all build on it. It's all part of the ecosystem. It's all, as you said, nobody cares basically. In the end of the day, right? People are going to do what they're going to do, and that freedom should still be allowed. But I think when you have toxic maximalism, that's when it really now becomes something else. And then we all, as I said, that we're all starting to attribute now just the word maxi to toxic maximalism. So I don't want to split hairs on it too much. But I just feel that, yeah, there is a major difference between being a Bitcoin maxi and being or anything maxi, if that's what you want to be, and being just a toxic person in the end of the day. There's ways to get a message across, in other words.
Yeah. Those are some good points. I hope that we just are Bitcoiners. That's how it used to be. There used to just be Bitcoiners. There was no like maximalists. It wasn't until Vitalik coined the phrase in, what was that, 2014, I think it was. We should just be Bitcoiners, and you can be Bitcoin only, you can be Bitcoin plus, you can be a Bitcoin rationalist. So I'm hoping that maybe Ordinals will help people just kind of get over those tribal distinctions. Like, I was Bitcoin only until a year or two ago when I started accepting Monero at one of my businesses, and then obviously Stacks. So yeah, I hope that we've gone past this, and it's good to be like, quote unquote, a Bitcoin maximalist. I just wish there was a different word, like a phrase that means I appreciate Bitcoin and I don't fall for scams, but I'm also not toxic.
I think Manip tried to come up with a term a while back and landed somewhere on Bitcoin centralist, maybe. I'm not sure that sounds great or is an effective term, but I definitely agree that having this dogmatic approach doesn't help anyone. But I also wonder whether or not that's where Stacks comes in the wider scheme of Ordinals as well. If it can provide utility to people and can onboard people in an effective way, then that's how Stacks shows that it's not just a fad or not a scam, as some people in the comments even say. Like, I don't know if I'm sure some of you in the chat have seen what OpenSea did recently with royalties. And for a while, the golden standard was, having marketplaces enforce them. And whilst it is possible in some cases to have royalties for NFT sales built into the smart contract, that's not what's done in most cases. And I wonder whether or not Stacks can be used in such a way that it allows ordinal NFT transactions to have those kind of smart contract guarantees for the artists, because that's the protection that they get. And then that will in turn show people that there is a real use case for these kind of things.
John, if you want to go ahead. And yeah, Vlad, I completely agree, man. So earlier, just a real quick introduction, if you guys don't know who John Ennis is, he's the creator of NeoSwap. And we were actually just talking about NeoSwap about 20 minutes ago, right before he popped in. He had his hand up, so I'm going to let him speak real quick.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me. It's nice to see everybody on here. Yeah, I would say, first off, monetary maximalism, I think, is a good term. Like, I'm a Bitcoin monetary maximal. When it comes to the money, what should be the base layer of the world economy? It should be Bitcoin. So I think that's true. But there's more to commerce than money. You need activity. You need to have trading, and for that, a programmable layer is extremely helpful. You also need to scale. Now I know Lightning is another solution, but I think, like for example, we're in the I saw that Joel had shared some of our ordinal auctions, so thank you for sharing those. Those are happening right now on Stacks. And one of the benefits of a smart contract is we don't have to take custody of either the ordinal or any of the tokens. And from a regulatory perspective, that's important because if we start taking custody of cryptocurrency and we start sending it around, we open ourselves up to liability, regulatory liability, from the standpoint of money transmitter laws. So there are all sorts of reasons why smart contracts are helpful. And what I'm hoping will happen with Stacks is just like there's SBTC coming, where there's going to be this trustless two-way peg of Bitcoin to really kind of analogous form of Bitcoin that can be spent on Stacks. I would also like to see something I'd call Ordinals, which would be a trustless two-way peg of ordinals. You take an ordinal and you're able to put it into a machine, and you get this thing called a ordinal, which is really a Stacks NFT, and it can be traded around. And then when whoever is ready, whoever gets it through whatever kind of economic activity, they can go back to the machine and they get the ordinal back out. Okay, that would be beautiful. And so I'm hoping that we can see developments like that. And I think Stacks has the inside track when it comes to being able to create this kind of clone or this twin smart contract twin, where you have this extra layer where you can do all sorts of possible on the base layer, and then can go back to the base layer when it's time to settle.
Yeah, no, that is definitely something that I see you're working towards already, John, and I've heard you speak about it in a few other spaces as well. It's definitely an interesting idea, and Vlad as well. Also, with what you said about royalties, it's like that for me is obviously very important. I mean, Fortune was saying before, just before you jumped in, literally that people are starting to already, find ways to inscribe audio and visual. So it'll be very interesting to see if people are able to do that in a very smart way and then also have royalties on the back of that. That would be absolutely crazy. So both of you definitely are covering some really good ground here. And I did see Vlad the comment that you spoke about. Jarlin is in here quite a lot. He jumps in and out. I thought he was still in there. I was going to invite him up because I'm always interested to hear this viewpoint that Stacks is a scam and why it's a scam. We're pretty open in here. I think people, when they come into Stack spaces, we're just going to be in here shilling Stacks all the time, and we're not in here actually building anything for Bitcoin. Like, it is what it says on the tin. You come in, and we'll be talking about Bitcoin. We might be talking about stuff that's going on within the Stacks ecosystem, but it is still all related to Bitcoin. In the end of the day, there's no affinity with utility. So, I don't really understand all of that stuff. So yeah, we've also got the wonderful Fireburst, who I haven't managed to catch up with, and Resh also. So I'm gonna let Resh go first, Fireburst, because I know he jumped up just literally before you came in.
Can I just say I'm sick and I'm gonna go back to bed. I just wanted to hop in here. Doc asked me to join earlier, so I just wanted to say hi to everybody and thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
Nice one.
We
Thank you
definitely
very much for
appreciate
joining,
it.
John. Get well soon, sir.
Check out NeoSwap if you guys haven't.
100%. It's up there in the pinned tweets. Resh, sir, what is happening, sir? What is your views on all of this?
On what exactly? Sorry, I wasn't quite paying attention.
Okay, so let me start from probably back where Ragnar had started, and saying that basically what are the differences or the use cases with Stacks now that we have ordinals? What is the use cases on both sides, and mean for Stacks basically? What are your views on that?
Honestly, I don't see the fascination of the ordinals. I mean, it's great that we're using Bitcoin network beyond money. I think that's opening a lot of interesting opportunities. But the fascination about having a JPEG or some sentences on the Bitcoin network and somehow thinking it's going to be very valuable, it's a very bizarre mentality to me. It's like literally if you go into a park and you see graffiti on a wall and then you say, wow, this park was pristine, nobody could do anything in it. Now we could do some paintings on the wall, and therefore this wall is going to be worth X amount of money. It doesn't, I mean, if somebody argued the point that, look, we are bringing beyond, I think Patrick said it the best. We are moving from beyond hard money to hard media. And I think that was a very fascinating way to look at it. Now, that is a different concept altogether. But this entire, if you look at everybody jumping on a bandwagon of trying to put anything and everything, their mother's knickers as well, onto the chain, thinking that it'll be valuable. It's absolutely bloody fucking bonkers. I'm sorry. I love the Bitcoin network. I love stacks, but I think we got to be careful. We continue down this dangerous route. Sooner or later, rightly so, we will be labeled. Stacks are known for scamming because that's what everybody's doing. PFP, sentences, whatever not onto the chain. But if we build something of great use, like what Patrick was saying, hard media, like really stuff. Like I think you mentioned something really interesting earlier, whereby you can put something hard news that nobody can immute. Like you're not worried about editorial risk and all. That's something going to be very unique. Right now we're thinking, what's the truth? What's the truth north, basically? That's my only view, to be honest. I just don't see the fascination of people throwing everything there, thinking like it's going to be worth X amount of money. Maybe the first 10 or maybe first 100, but the first 50,000, people say, oh, it's going to be valuable. Why? Why 50,000? Why 100,000? Why even the first 10? Why not the first five? I don't get the mentality. I'm still trying to understand that. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's just a current narrative, and people saying like, "Oh, it's going to be the first 1,000," and then it became the first 10,000, and then it became the first 50,000, then 100,000, and soon it may even be a million at some point. And I don't really like that narrative just because it kind of makes it seem like the best days have already happened, and just everything going forward would be worth less, which is kind of a bad yeah, bad strategy marketing wise when you think about it. It's like I think the real test is going to be when we get quality work that people actually put a lot of time in and they put that in an inscription. And I mean that's going to be more valuable than just, oh, I got 5,000. That's
Yeah.
good for you. That's awesome. You were early, but if it's just a napkin sketch,
The
it's
this
yeah.
entire NFT thing reminds me of the NFT at 97 to 99. That period NFT was crazy as well, and people were flipping it. If people don't get the reference, what I'm making at is domain names. People are literally flipping domain names left, right, center, and you'll be thinking like, holy shit, something so valuable. When the crash came, people are wiped out. Later quality came. People really said, shit, you actually need to have some fundamental behind this. That's where we are, I think, with this ordinal. That's where I think we are with JPEG sentences on the chain. This will go on for a while. I don't know how long it'll go on. I think we're just at the beginning of this. I think for in the next 12 to 18 months, it'll get even more worse, crazier. But people who are quality will be able to see this and build for what's about to come, I guess. That's the way I look at it,
Yeah,
man.
no, Resh, you're spot on. And I think that the focus and more people should be talking about the creative ways that utility can be implemented into, like the active holding. Like we've all seen, like there's different things like artists, for example, can do, like, you have access to, extra perks or whatever it is, right? When the band is in town, you get to, go backstage or something if you're an NFT holder or, whatever it is. But I think obviously this is stuff is so new that it's just a rush and everybody's just dumping stuff on there because of that impression that, oh, if you're there, within that first month or week or whatever, it's going to be more historical. But yeah, it's I think the future is going to show us the creative energies collective of the world, and people will come up with way more cooler stuff than we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, just like 100%. I feel like, this has only been around like 2 to 3 weeks, right? Like, you're not going to get the best art ever to be put on a blockchain in 2 to 3 weeks when people were just trying to learn how this technology works, right? Like, you kind of want that proof of work in your art. And so you want people to have time to actually, come up with a cool idea, like have some passion behind the works that they did versus just like, scrambling to
And
get something up there.
And I'm talking about thinking even beyond art, right? Like again, I've got freaking words on a fortune cookie, but like think about things like, I don't know, your NFT could be the keys to open your house if you have like a digital lock or something. Like I don't know, like there's so many different things that NFTs could do that I know smart people can build out. I've seen some of this stuff, already taking place in the crypto world that it blows my mind. And now that it's going to be possible on, the true crypto, Bitcoin, the one, the OG, right? Like that it just feels like we're back to square one, the beginning of, possibilities. It was like when people used to say money is just the first app of Bitcoin, right? Does anybody remember people saying that like 10 years ago? Like, and now I feel okay. Now we're seeing the beginning of different apps that can be possible on Bitcoin.
And that's a yeah. Go,
Sorry,
go,
Matt.
go, go.
I was just going to say I totally agree with that, and also agree with what Rush is saying about how there's now just a deluge of different projects trying to rush in and get there first and be part of the 10, 50, 100,000. But I feel like that fits in so perfectly with cyclical behavior we see in all types of new technology. When the internet came out and we had that dot-com bubble, you had millions of companies who were all raising loads of capital, doing absolutely nothing, and then you had the bubble and it burst. Then with all the cycles that we've seen, even in crypto itself, you have loads of projects pumping, dumping, and most people come away with nothing. I know that can be bad for the crypto brand, but what it definitely does do is bring capital into areas and users into areas where there previously weren't. So you get these people who are actually building something useful. They get caught up in this wave, and that brings them money that they can then use to build something that is actually worthwhile. There's not too much damage done by some of these projects that are just there to get rich quick. But if you're bringing in a collection that has utility or social value, then I think that's only good for the space and for crypto as a whole.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I do see some of the crossover there from what Resh is saying as well. Like, um, and these narratives, like we see these narratives play out again and again, and I think it was across as well where you'd said about the kind of old school narrative there, like with Bitcoin, money just being the first app. And I do remember that, I do remember that. I say this in these spaces all the time, yeah, right? And I'm gonna say it again, like every space we've done, I have to say this. Is like Vitalik